Start with the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Trombley. Here. Trustee McFetrich. Here. Trustee Trombley.
Here.
Trustee Garrett. Here. Mayor Martin.
Here. Motion to approve the minutes. Last minutes of October 7th, 2013.
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion on these minutes? There's no discussion. All those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
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 Any noes? Motion carries. Presentation of petitions, communications, notices, general question period, members of the community.
Yes.
Please.
First, I'd like to commend Mike and the crew for the work they've done on Elm Street. The tree work across from the fire department has cleaned that mess up nicely. Just was questioning, are you going to do anything with that guardrail? That cable guardrail is out of the ground, half out of the ground.
Some of them are going to be straightened, yes.
So is that on the list of things to
Yes,
do?
it is.
So
I still have a few trees there to cut too, actually, that are
that looks a
leaning.
lot better. My question, twofold, both on elm and oak. I know there's different road or legal widths on the road, but I know a lot of the work that was done in front of Elm Street, in front of the Kinpex building, is that all within the scope of the village property? Or where are we getting, are we going further? That was a...
That's to maintain what we have.
The drainage that was there, we had to move it over to tie into the drains that
But are
were
we
there.
paving their parking lot too? Is that...
Well, we're taking care of the drainage. Let's say we're paving their parking lot. As far as how far over the actual boundary is, I'd have to look at the map and see. Well, I mean, we had to tear it out to fix the drainage, so we had to repair
what
we
took
tore out, yes.
So, because my question was, where does their responsibility come in maintaining it to, I know us as homeowners, we're...
Well, as
have to
far as the
maintain it
drainage
to the
goes,
street.
it's something that, there was drainage, from
know
what I
that's all
understand, that was originally there that was taken out, and they never put drainage back there, and there's a real bad problem there with water
Right,
running
because
across
it's
the
all
road.
downhill off the Kinpex.
So we put all new drainage in there so that we would take the water. Of course, we had to rip up to get a taper on there, so we had to fix back what we took out. The other problem was it's right where the gas line was, so we had to be able to move to follow the gas line. We couldn't put drainage obviously with the main gas line that feeds everybody, all the way to Ross's Point. So I mean, we ripped it out. We had to fix it. You can't rip it out and say now it's your responsibility.
Well, true, making the mess and not. My other question was the width of the road, like on Oak Street, where the big tree came down in the Marshall yard.
Yeah.
Is that on village property, or what's the village responsibility for?
For that tree?
Yeah.
That's not our responsibility. That's his responsibility. I mean, what's fell in the road?
Right, get it
Obviously,
out of the road.
we take it. We get it out of there. If they have brush, we pick it up. He's supposed to be having. Actually, he talked to me this week. He's supposed to be having the rest of that taken down. The stump of that tree taken down.
Thank you.
Yeah.
On Elm Street, that's a continuous problem in the spring when it freezes and thaws.
Oh, it's true. It's a
Runoff.
soft mess.
It's something that should have been fixed years and years and years ago, the drainage situation there. Anytime we get a spot where the drainage, the existing, or what's there is not enough to maintain the freezing and thawing and causing some liability safety issues, I would prefer that we take care of it rather than waiting.
And as far as paving elm, it stops at the village boundary with a village, because I know the street where it ends, the village per se, the gouges or the cracks, like where you'd normally see the state filling in with tar. I mean, those holes are getting, oversized right now. I know the village plows it,
Yeah.
but I know you've mentioned before, is there a program where we can put tar in those cracks, or is that the town's responsibility? We plow it, they maintain it, but...
As far as potholes or cracks?
Well, it's probably a foot long now and 3 or 4 inches deep, but every time it rains or you start plowing, you're going to end up with a...
I'll look and see. Further up past your place?
You're talking about outside the village limit then?
That would
right
be-
there where the two pavement
Yeah.
textures stop. It's the old texture, because Elm was paved sooner than they call it the town end.
Yeah.
But there's beginnings of craters there, but.
We plow it by agreement, but the blacktop and stuff is the town's
Is theirs.
responsibility. You know, it's kind of a trade. They haul our sand and all this other stuff. We plow some of their short distances.
So it's not like cold patch time for Allen or tar or whatever they do? Or?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Report for Mr. Tatro, Codes Enforcement.
Well, you have my report. I mean, I attended a few things this past month. Water meters, Potsdam, a couple of meetings. I'm sure the question in everybody's mind is probably Mr. Delafrange's project. I called the architect this morning, and he has signed a contract with them to produce some plans. And the plans are supposedly forthcoming within a week to 2 weeks from now. They're partially completed. I did see Mr. Delafrange this afternoon, and he basically told me the same thing, but I called the engineer just to verify everything. So he's moving forward with it. I guess he's been in there cleaning it out, according to the architect. So that's all I have on that project there. We have a few other projects in the village. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Do you have a chance to check on that wood behind the building?
I didn't today, but I will.
Okay.
I've got that, then there's a truck box over here. I gotta send them a letter or find out who owns it, I guess.
What is that being used for?
Storage is what it looks like.
Where is this?
Ashland Drive.
Right over here. It's the big white house.
It's-
St. Max and
It's
stuff?
between that one and that single story thing. I'm not sure whose property it's on. I'll have to find out.
Okay.
But it's an old truck box. I mean, those things tend to migrate in, they never leave.
So Mike, back to Ken, so moving forward, is he got permits in place yet or not? Or?
He doesn't have a permit because I don't have a set of plans yet. But once I get the plans,
How do you feel he's doing with, I know we set some sort of a deadline to make sure
time. Once he has the plans and the permit, it's up to him to get the manpower or the contractor or whoever he's going to hire to do this to get started and take care of the roof. Apparently, there's some issues with the roof that's burnt or defective, and the architect said that they have to relook at that to decide how they're going to address it. So that seems to be a bigger part of the project, to compose it.
Okay.
But once it's in his ballpark, I don't know who. I know he had one guy in mind. Whether that's still true or not, I don't know. You get a contracting crew, you can get in there, you can do a lot of work in a week or 2 weeks' time. But if you're only by yourself and you're straightening nails to save money, well, I don't know. So,
Well, he has until the end of November to show some progress. I think we were all very clear with that last meeting.
Hopefully.
And then we'll go to the next step.
Sort out.
Okay. Any other questions for Mike? Thank you. We are pleased to announce that the village's new disc golf course on Maiden Lane and River Street is about 85% completed. We still need to pour the tee spots, but the baskets are all installed, so the course is available for use. We hope folks will come out, enjoy the game, get a little exercise, and use the new recreational areas here in the village. The swing set will soon be in place. The basketball court will soon be available for use. And as soon as the weather gets colder, we will switch from basketball to ice skating. The rest of the playground will be installed as time and weather conditions allow. I think a late spring 2014 completion date is very realistic at this point. It has taken a bit longer than I anticipated, but with your patience, we will get the playground completed. It will be a well-used, much enjoyed, and much welcomed recreational site in the middle of the village. Now for some housekeeping items. Plans for our annual tree lighting ceremony will begin soon for this well-attended village event. We will post date and time on the village website and Facebook page and place notices of the event in our local newspapers. We are in the winter season, and we all know what that means, snow and street plowing. Please do not park on village streets from November 15th to April 15th, midnight to 6 a.m. to make street maintenance more effective and safer for everyone. For the board, the DPW crew will be taking a 10-hour required course in OSHA requirements and confined space training Wednesday and Thursday of this week. The class will be held at the town meeting room, presented free of charge by E.J. Prescott, and will include other DPW workers from other communities which need this training as well. Thanks to Mike Jolliker for setting this up and inviting other municipalities to send their workforce for this important training. I'm going to ask that people refrain from flushing disposable wipes down into the sewer system, the wastewater system. They do not dissolve, they do not break down. They cause us problems with our pumps. Very often we have to pull the pumps and take the wipes out of the impeller blades. Those pumps are extremely expensive, and these disposable wipes, they don't break down. They go through the system and they clog it up, and it causes us some time and money to get this repaired. So please, refrain from disposing of your so-called disposable wipes into the wastewater system. We wish to thank everyone and happy Thanksgiving, and a special thanks to all our armed forces personnel, present and retired. Your sacrifice is greatly appreciated, and we thank you for your willingness to serve our country. Thank you. And that's all. Trustee Garrett.
Thank you. With the wipes, would we be beneficial to maybe send out a notice with our next water?
It's going on the next water bill.
Okay. I mean, I read it in the paper too,
Yeah.
that someone else is having trouble. So.
Yeah.
It's all over.
Yeah. Oh, a couple things. There are two, not grants, but foundation opportunities. The one that Juanita sent me through Lowe's, and in researching stuff for the disc golf, Dick's also does some assistance as well. So I'm going to be applying to Dick's for us to have some Frisbee here in the village that they could sign out for use. They do that down at the Katyville one.
Yeah.
So we held a Frisbee tournament at my office this weekend down in Katyville. I think it's going to be a great opportunity. Even though it was cold and rainy, people came to play, and they were playing here in the village this weekend.
Saturday in the pouring rain.
Yeah, so it's exciting that word is out that we're getting this thing, and
I was out there today.
it's cool. It really is a lot of fun. Go out there and here in the whooping, and it's a great way. So we had a bunch of newbies that came out just to try it this past weekend at the tournament. Never had played before, and they had a grand old time, and we're excited, that there are other opportunities opening up. And also letting the organizations that play in tournaments know that we are here because we could get a tournament into the village, maybe in coordination with our Village Fest, is, just bring in more people, show what we got going. Maybe not on that day, but somewhere in that event. Don't think we want Frisbees flying while people are down there. But you know what I'm saying?
Not to interrupt you, but the health department's putting on a newspaper, exercise for everyone, or Get Moving, I think is what it's called. The Clinton County Health Department will soon have that out, and we have there's one page that's going to be devoted to disc golf.
Awesome.
And our site is going to be the featured site.
Cool. That's exciting.
The second thing, and I don't mean to take your time here, but
No.
on Friday I took down a request to Lowe's, the manager of Lowe's, requesting a basketball pole and apparatus, and six
swings.
adult swings and two baby swings.
Oh, okay, because I started filling out one online, so I should stop doing that. I'm
Yeah,
not going
I-
to double dip there.
Juanita typed up a letter and I took it down.
Okay, beautiful.
And delivered it on Friday. We should be hearing from
Okay.
them. So
All right. Yeah, because usually at those higher levels, you have to go through the process online.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, when I talked to the one of the employees, the manager wasn't there at that time. He said, "This guy Hedwig is very generous
yeah.
from the local standpoint." So
They
we'll
are.
see where that goes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't
Yeah.
mean to interrupt. But
No. And keeping in mind, too, my concern with the skating rink going on the basketball is a brand new skater losing control and eggnogging it right into the pole.
maybe we'll
So
have
we're
some-
going to need to do some kind of padding there
Yeah.
for
we
that,
also-
because I can see the first child
We
in
also
a
need to put
split
a-
around the pole.
We also need to put a fence up there before the ground freezes so we can't get the poles.
Right. Now, you had said you had fencing. How high is your fencing?
Well, the fence is the adjoining property along my property and the Kimpex property. And the predecessor, who's been replaced, had an agreement that that fence could come down when I erected a fence on along the property, which I have. I just haven't approached them. To
Is
me,
this
it's
a chain link type
the
fence?
chain link. It's got to be a good 6 or 7 feet tall. You know, you won't need the barbed wire on top, but coat of paint and
Electrify it.
Yeah, razor blade.
but
I
it's
wonder
there,
what we're
and
putting up down there.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
Mike could go look at it.
we
perhaps.
chatted that
Okay, good.
because
I mean, it's not just there while we're throwing fences around. We also need to put a fence up around the water tank.
Yes, we do. So,
That's way past due, and the health department's been very generous with us.
because there's roughly 300 feet of that fence. I'd say like 250 feet of it are usable, because the last 50 feet where Walnut Street comes up on Elm, the trees have grown through it and
right.
have distorted it. But there's a good 250 feet of fence.
That
Right.
might be enough for both places.
Yeah, and I'd like to wrap it around both ends a little bit for the ball rolling out. I'm just
One end,
really
I don't know
nervous about
The
that.
other far, the Maiden Lane end, I don't know if we'll be able to,
Okay,
but on the other end we can.
all right.
Uh,
Even if it's just slight
Yeah,
angle,
yeah,
even one
funding
piece of an
goal around it.
angle, you know what I
Funding.
mean?
Yeah, from
Yes.
the grants and stuff.
Because there's
Yes.
nothing to stop it
We
from
have enough
going
in the
out,
bank
crossing
for it, but I
into
don't
the
think we
road.
want-
On the road side, it should be
We don't.
No,
probably 8 foot.
just on the street side.
And you can bounce. It goes over.
The rest of it's playgrounds.
Goes on the road.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay, and can't believe we're here again. We just had it last week, but decorating contest, folks. For Christmas, gotta start thinking about it. I said it. The week December 13th through the 20th, homes will be evaluated for their decorating prowess this year.
Thank you
So-
for doing that again.
People like it.
13th to the 20th, is that what you said?
13th through the 20th. Within that week, make sure at night your lights are turned on, starting at. We'll do after dinner, so people who are working. So 7 o'clock or later. Yeah. And that is it for me.
Trustee Trombley, thank you, Amy. Trustee Trombley?
The other thing I have to report is that, I attended along with you to the conference in Potsdam, and for those of you who were unable to go, I think it's very valuable. 2 of the sessions I went to, I took a lot back, and I think we'll be able to use it at budget time, and there's a lot of good information.
That's coming up soon.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Possible.
The budget time's coming.
Yes, at all of this. We just started 2013.
I know. That's all. That's all I have to report, though. I just
And
want
I
to say
gotta
that
look at
it was a good
insurance
session.
again. Good, thank you. That's coming up. Insurance, January 1st.
Okay.
Okay. Trustee Fedrich?
I have assorted miscellaneous items here. First of all, I started writing a welcome kit for new residents, which is basically a brochure.
I wonder who did that.
Very nice.
It's kind of still a rough draft, so if you could look it over and give me some input. I think I'm missing, I know a few things I'm missing. I didn't put in the school
Schools.
district.
No, I was thinking.
I thought of that, but
Schools?
no, I did, that was an oversight. And then some other things, but if you could give me some input, I think it would be helpful to people coming in. I tried to stress all the physical activity that we have here, the parks that we have here, the disc golf and all of that. So So I started working on that. Today I was driving around checking mileage on our streets, most of which I know anyway because I'm a runner, but I'm going to take the village map and plot out some different walks that people can do, and then they can know what their distance is if they don't have one of those devices that does that. And maybe encourage like a loosely knit walking group or something if they want to get together. I walk every day. A lot of people do, but I think there are more people that might like to join that. I spoke briefly with Celine Paquette last week about the possibility of maybe co-hosting a speakers series, or maybe we could have a historian or a musician or I don't know, dance or art showcase her museum a little bit, have the village promote it. I'm thinking of no cost, so I'm hoping I can find people that would donate their time, which I think I can. She seemed interested, but I have not spoken to her since then.
The library just did, and I didn't hear about it until the last night after it, and I was like, oh, I wanted to go, I would have gone.
I heard about it today.
Yeah, it was, Claire Clark told me about it, and she said it was wonderful. They had Mr. Yakey.
Norbert.
Norbert who spoke at ours telling,
But I said,
history.
I
read it after.
I talked to Meryl Freeman and
I wish I'd known.
Barb Robbins, and they told me all about it, and I said, it wasn't publicized that I knew about. I didn't see it. So that's the kind of thing I'd like to do. There's a lot of interest.
Definitely, a lot.
But it has to be publicized.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know about that. Let's see. Oh, and then the other thing, the Facebook page originally called Save the Village has been turned into Champlain, what's it called, Anita? Champlain Community
Center.
Or something like that, but it's a positive thing. So the reason I asked about the lighting thing, the decorating contest, is I'll put that on there. I'll make sure that's on there.
Okay.
It seems to be a pretty good forum for people to talk about things in the village, but it's all positive.
Yeah.
So check it out. It's pretty good. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Tremblay?
I also attended the Potsdam conference. First time in all the years I've been on this board that I actually got to go to something, and it was really, really a good day. Some of the speakers were excellent, and a lot of good information taken away from there. The other thing that I know you've gotten some new signs and stuff for around the village, but as long as we're talking about the playground, we need to get some signs, and you've probably already thought of this, but clean up after your doggy signs. We need to have those. It needs to be well marked that if people are going to, and a garbage can there too. I know in travels that we've done, of course, we're animal peoples, and our dog usually travels with us. In Maine, when you go along the coast, they have a lot of beaches between certain times you can take your dog on the beach with you. But they also have the signs, and underneath it, they have a dispenser of bags. And we could maybe check into the price of that. Mm-hmm. I think it would be something well worth investing in, because I've actually gone and knocked on people's doors before and asked them. I didn't realize we were out of bags, and I've gone and knocked on someone's door and asked them for a grocery bag. Mm-hmm. But I think I just think that having kids down there, people are going to go out for a walk, kids want to go use the swing set, they got their dog with them. Mm-hmm. I think it would be worth investigating the cost of that. I can't imagine that it would be that expensive.
Actually, I have a book with that stuff in it.
Could you maybe throw something in our boxes for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
That'd be a great addition.
I think so. And, a receptacle there.
Good idea. Yeah, this weekend at the tournament, a lot of people had their dogs.
Well, people,
You do, because it's just
it's part of the family if you're a true True dog lover.
You got a big dog, you need a grocery bag.
She's healthy.
Look at the use all those bags
She's
for.
healthy. That's a good way to put it.
That's a beautiful course down there.
It is. It's great.
Can I throw something out? While you're in Burlington, I've seen is one place, but you mentioned Maine. They have dog parks where it's designed to bring your dog. It's skirted with a 3-foot fence. They've got like fire hydrants, but it's saying the same thing, bring your own bag. But I mean, it's an area for the dogs, because I know like up at St. Mary's, they used to see the people walking their dogs and urinate and defecate in the area where the kids play. Even if you pick it up, you're not picking it up. So maybe move a dog area. You've got that big open area, but
That would be a place that's generally where it's fenced in where you can let your dogs play and run loose.
yeah, throw
right?
frisbees. I mean, that's what it's a couple acre field there, isn't it?
Up behind here?
No, where you put all the playground equipment.
Yeah.
But I
But
mean,
you're
the
gonna
front
that's
part
going to be
is
filled.
That whole thing with the playground.
that whole thing will all be
Yes.
playground.
With all the stuff
Yeah,
in
with the
St. Mary's.
spacing
Plus-
and all of that.
Plus the stuff in elementary school, that big piece.
And the disc golf starts on that end too. Starts in the community
So
garden,
not room for a dog.
then goes across between the two houses, and then the third hole, you come up to where the stone wall is, where the swings at the end of the swing set,
Yeah.
and it goes across to the lift station on the other side of the lift station. Then you go across the Elm Street Bridge, and that's where hole number 4 starts.
Are we going to have scorecards done up too?
Yeah,
I have a template so I
I'm
can.
working. Well, I have the Katyville one.
Yeah, I've got it on template so you can adjust it.
Oh, okay.
Because we made our logo and stuff in it. It was cool.
And we also
So.
need a kind of a map of the playground,
Right.
so that we can put it up on an information board.
You still have that? The map I gave? Yeah.
Put it up on an information board like they have in Katyville. I mean, it's a nice one
Mm-hmm.
under glass.
Oh, we can get like a.
You know, that describes the course.
Yeah.
That shows where the course tees and the holes and stuff like that is. I'm just so impressed with
That's
it.
kind of exciting.
It is.
But anyways, back to the dog park. I think once we get this done, we could consider that.
Yeah,
I think
we
so
can
too.
something
I
down.
think it's a great
But it's
idea.
river.
They're so
River,
common out
yeah.
west.
River Street.
Like a
Yeah.
fence up for the garden, you could just use it where the garden was.
No, I don't.
You're always thinking, Mike.
Maybe down by the wastewater plant.
Frisbee golf and now it's probably, it's not
I'll
gonna
look-
work.
Holes down there and tees down there.
Yeah.
I'll look up a
But
little.
there is an area down in the corner.
I'll look up a little bit of information about those dog parks and see what the recommended space is, and just to get info.
There is space down on the corner by the wastewater fence
Yeah.
on the left-hand side and in the back.
We took our dog to one out in Syracuse when we were visiting relatives, and she loved it.
It's a good idea.
Well, Ohio has them all over the place.
Yeah, Oregon, they're all over.
Here we just let them run, just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right. Have a report from the clerk treasurer, please.
Everyone has their October expense and revenue. And I have a couple of transfers to be done. One transfer is from 1320.1 the auditor, to the auditor. $50 from A1325.11 treasurer's schooling. And the other is to property maintenance A1666.4, $400 from A1325.11 treasurer's schooling.
And that was a temporary worker.
No, that was our lawn mowing.
Need a motion to approve the transfers.
So moved.
Have a second.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee McFetrich.
Aye.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Martin.
Aye.
We also have one purchase request from Woody for a pack for chlorine and solution that does the testing. F8310.4, 16602, and G 8110.439.90.
Necessary for testing?
Yes, usually we buy them in 100 packs, and we buy them often. And buy them by 1,000 pack, they're like 20 some bucks cheaper to buy that way than it is the other way. We get them from them anyway, but it's just, we're going to use them.
It's not anything that has a shelf life.
No, they're sealed packets for chlorine tests. We use them daily.
Need a motion to approve?
So
Have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Trustee Trombley.
Wait, a discussion on what?
The chlorine tax.
Oh, okay.
Trustee Trombley.
aye.
Trustee McFetrich.
Aye.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Martin.
Aye. Do we have the paperwork on these other purchases? Emergency, FW Web?
Everybody has those.
Yeah.
Everybody has copies.
Really?
See that first.
Both of them.
No.
This is for the head assembly, right? Is that what you mean?
Head assembly for standard pump, Mike, can I explain it to
That turns chlorine, we had to pump that head strip. Luckily, we just got the new pump in, we had to order a pump last month.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a head assembly to replace the one I just stripped out. Instead of having to pay $300 for a new pump, we're able to get just a head assembly. Use the same pump. That's for chlorine, for our chlorine injection. So we have a good pump up and running, plus we have our new spare that we bought. Still here in the box. When we ordered last month, I had a spare.
Is this for the Bailey thing? Is this what we're talking about
No,
here?
that's
No.
for the webs.
No, the head assembly for the standard pump. I think it's important that we have that extra one in storage,
Oh, yeah.
because when it breaks down,
We have a spare.
we're in trouble. So, okay, you want to explain the
The
Bailey?
Baileys are is a hydraulic motor for our sander, a spinner on our sander. It's because of where it is, all the salt and sand drops on it for the spinner. It scored the shaft bad, and it was leaking oil badly as far as our big sander.
Yep.
And I priced them around. The cheapest one I found was like $260, and I have somebody locally that buys from this hydraulic company. I was able to get a hold of them. We set up an account with them, and we were able to get it for $136. And now we have an open account with them. If we need something hydraulic, we can get an order, and within 2 days it's here.
Nice.
Well, that's good.
Good job.
The motion to approve,
I make a motion.
have a second?
Second?
Any other discussion on these purchases?
No?
You know, we all know how vitally important it is to have that sander functioning, as well as having the chlorine assembly. A roll call, please.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee McFetrich.
Aye.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Martin.
Aye. The presentation of warrant.
We have additional invoices to be added to the warrant in the amount of $3,922.64.
A motion to approve,
So moved.
have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I like the 47-cent bill from NYSEG. Can we have more of those?
I think we talked a little bit about this at the special meeting when we were at the town. Could you explain that 47 cents, please?
For what?
For that bill, why it's 47 cents and not $12,000? Is that the credit that we got from Direct Energy?
Oh, yeah, we discussed that last meeting, yeah, because they went down to gave us 0.6 cents instead of 12 cents that they were originally charging us, since they took over for 3 months. So now we're just catching up to using those credits. And that brings you to this Direct Energy that we have. Our charge would be 1.9 cents per kilowatt for our 12 accounts. We signed a 12-year agreement. It's through the chamber.
1 year.
12 months.
12 months, excuse me.
Say,
Did I
well,
say 12 years?
12 years.
Oh,
That's a long commitment, I know.
12 months. And it's 1.9 cents per kilowatt will be charged.
And it's a variable rate, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And start date is December.
Okay. We'll look at that under old business, so we'll ask for a resolution when we get to old business for that one. Okay. Any other questions on the warrant?
yep.
Go ahead.
On the Peterbilt, the Champlain Peterbilt repair left rear wheel seal, what was that on, what vehicle?
The plow truck.
Okay, that's all I want to know, which vehicle, thank you. And the River Street NYSEG bill was $743.30 though, so why was that one so high?
It's usually 1,300.
Okay. Just curious if the credit did apply to that
Yes.
one? Okay,
Yes.
so I just checking it. Since the others were so wonderfully low. I know, it's
River Street is
expensive.
always high.
Okay.
Blowers running all the time.
And the 1875 was removal of the sludge.
No, that's our DEC license. That's our permit.
And how often do we have to get that?
We get that every year.
Wow. Ouch. Okay, that's all my questions.
Any other discussion on the warrant? A roll call, please.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee McFetrich.
Aye.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Martin.
Aye. Report from the superintendent, please.
Yep, we've been busy. Paving's done. All the DPW crew, including myself, we all went to a snowplow safety training course held at City of Plattsburgh. We've been installing a few and repairing some road signs that were either in bad shape or straightening them. I still have a few to put up. We're just waiting for the dig safes to come in. We did a little bit of culvert work up on Prospect. We had one fellow there, Kevin Kay, was putting a new garage up, and his culvert was heaved out of the ground. They were ripping all the tarmac out. I figured there's no better time. They would be repaving next year. We changed the culvert on the end of the driveway where it had heaved. That's taken care of. We received our cylinder back for our backhoe. That's been reinstalled. We've already used that a few times, so that's all set. Our sand and salt is mixed for the winter. The building's full. I think probably tomorrow or Wednesday we should be getting, I think, another 32 tons of salt, the balance of our salt. We ordered to have straight salt for our sidewalks and to mix if needed. But right now it's already been, everything up there has been mixed and the building's full. So we're set for there. There's a light pole in the park down here we repaired. Actually, we were down there working and I could hear this noise. We looked and the whole light pole's bolts were loose. The whole light pole was swinging back and forth like 4 foot on the top. I don't know if they just loosened up over time, if they weren't tight, but anyways, that's been taken care of, so we shouldn't have to worry about that. I still gonna have to get up and those lights don't work. I don't know if it's a ballast or the bulb, so I'm gonna get Carl's bucket truck and I'm gonna go up and see and get what we need so those lights work.
And where are these poles?
That's the one where the playground is.
Playgrounds.
That double pole, so I have to get up and see what's wrong with that and get it fixed. We repaired a couple hydrants. One at the water plant was broke down in the ground. The valve, actually the rod that went down to the hydrant, that one's been repaired. And we had also one up on Main Street by Dick Baker's, but the barrel was rotted through, that we changed that, so those are up and fixed. There's a few street light requests I sent into NYSEG. I think they've all been fixed now. I see the ribbons gone off the poles that I put on. If anybody's aware of any lights that are out or flickering or staying on, feel free to call here and let us know, and we'll have them taken care of. Brush pickup's complete. Hydrant flushing's complete. Changed out a few water meters that were either bad or in question. We replanted a blue spruce tree down in the park. Somebody ran it over and pulled it out of the ground, so the donor came and bought another tree, so we replanted the tree. That's taken care of, so we can have our Christmas tree lighting ceremony later on. We installed a new top belt and a filter press at the wastewater plant. The old one had a rip, and we had ordered new belts a while ago, so we do have it. It's already installed and up and going. Last week we installed a hydrant down by Miramar for the town. They had a hydrant that had been broken off. We dug and installed that. That's taken care of. The Frisbee Golf Course, as Greg mentioned, are up, other than the pads we have to pour for the tee-off spots. Sanders in the plow truck, and the next week here we're gonna get the plow on it and get the rest of our track lists and get the rest of our everything else in there up and running, so we're ready to go.
It's getting that time.
Getting there.
How was, Mike?
Go ahead.
How was the plow safety training course?
Good.
Was it really useful?
Yeah.
I would hope.
There's a lot of information there. They give you all kinds of scenarios, and you go out and they have a snowplow rodeo where you have to push bricks. And you have to go push them past the line. You have to stop before a line. You have to push basketballs. And there's a course to go around back in between. And
Did our guys get involved with that?
I don't think so. You didn't have to do it.
Right.
One time we went 2 different days, so somebody would be here. One of the guys broke the wing in a plow truck, so it was going to be
Not
one of our guys. Somebody before our guys. It was going to be hours before they had it fixed, so they didn't. And then we went down. They didn't have a single axle. They had either tandem or they had a regular pickup truck. And he said, if you guys don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. So we didn't. Me and the person I went down with, we didn't bother using the pickup truck to do it. But there's quite a few people in our course.
Okay.
But no, it was a good, he did give you a certificate. I don't think it amounts to anything as far as insurance or anything like that goes, but he did give you a certificate that you completed the course and sent it. But as far as the only hands-on was that they did have a snowplow rodeo. It was kind of a neat thing.
There's an insurance consideration here.
Is there for that certificate? Can you use it towards you?
Mm-hmm.
Can you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Just a couple of things, because the leaves were so late to fall off the trees this year. If people still put their bags out, we'll still pick them up.
Yeah. We did a pickup today
It's on my list for him.
because they
I
have.
still got one.
Especially with
tree.
the wind Friday, lots of stuff came
Well,
down.
we had that hard frost just before, so
Yeah.
if they have them out there, we're still
Okay, good.
picking them up.
And if we go back up to the top here a little bit with the culvert,
Yeah.
how dangerous it is for people to try to change the flow of water here.
Yeah.
We've got the culverts in place. If someone needs some attention at the end of their driveways or whatever, it's important that they call here and let Mike know. We just can't go out and put a piece of culvert in the ground. Reducing the size of the
biggest
flow
issue
would
is the
cause
size
an
of-
obstruction.
Because if you reduce the size of the flow, then the water can't go through. So,
Is that what
no,
this
it's
is?
not. But
No.
I've had a couple of them that I had to take out that were reducing the size. When we go from a 12-inch culvert, they're reducing it down
Yeah, we
to a 4-inch.
we dealt with one a couple of years ago
Yeah.
on Oak Street, and that's what happens.
So if anybody has
handle the water.
a question, all you do is call here, and we're more than happy to go up and look at it and see what it is, or suggest what they need.
Yeah,
Don't just do it,
advise what has to be
Right.
installed.
because there's great issues down the road.
It's especially important now because we're getting into the winter season where it thaws and freezes and thaws and freezes. People are cleaning their driveways out and they're piling their snow up against the end of the driveway, and it causes the culverts to plug up and overflow into the street. And obviously, it's a safety issue there.
And the leaves too are an issue.
Anything else for Mike?
Yep. Mike, I know you've been incredibly busy, so I hate even asking. But where are we staying with sidewalks? Because every year we get to the end and we've not made it to our sidewalks yet. And especially if you're looking at doing a walking thing, we got to have safe sidewalks.
Next year is going to be the year for sidewalks.
Okay.
This year,
Next year is going to be the year for sidewalks.
Raise your right hand, please.
I really wanted to get a lot done this year,
is knee
but
deep in diffusers.
Oh, I know.
well, we're 5 minutes done with diffusers, but sidewalks are going to be a big thing next year. We'll be replacing probably moving and placing on them. That's going to be one of the main.
The one that you've got cones up
Oh, you're-
on, yeah, are you
on
gonna
the
have
side
something
of that.
higher so when the snow hits there, because that's very dangerous for kids? I mean,
What's
it's a
that?
plummet
Well,
straight down
We're either going to do that or we'll have to block it off.
Where is
on
that?
Chestnut.
Oh,
Yeah, and
okay.
there's I don't know if there's a old water line, sewer line, something went through there and it's dropped.
It-
And there's two of them that are V'd together.
Dropped.
Okay.
And it's really across from where it dropped in our road too.
Where
But I
think
know
it's
the
where that-
neighbors' kids, they go biking, they love it, and I'm waiting for one of them to just
I mean, I can block it off completely.
skateboard and bike over that, and it just, yeah,
We
makes me
still have some
nervous.
cement to pour here, but it's getting kind of late for
It is, I know
cement
that.
season. I've got about a yard and a half to do for those pads for the golf. They're like 3 foot by 5 foot pads. Plus, I'd like to get that swing set level to get the cement poured for that. So that's I don't want to leave holes. Yeah, that's taken
If
care
this
of.
is that dangerous, could that be addressed at the same time?
Yeah, we could rip those 2 pads out
Which
and
is
maybe.
a short pour.
I mean that, or we don't plow that sidewalk right now. The only other thing we do is pull them pads out and fill it so it's level. At least it's level.
That's safer.
You know,
It
to
is
have something
safer
there.
for now.
The stone, the stone would
Gravel. Something gravel like these. I think.
Yeah, it's like dig it out of their cuts. No, don't put gravel down. There's nothing worse than digging gravel out of kids' knees.
That's,
Speaking of sidewalks, what's the history behind there never being a sidewalk on South Street?
I don't know.
Because it's so many people walk on South
So
Street.
many. I agree. We
And
really need to
we're
look
all
at
out in
it.
the road, and there's
Mhm.
I just why was there never a sidewalk put in there?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm
I
assuming
don't know if it's a setback, if there's room for it on the, on the
Yeah,
lots.
I don't know.
I think if you're going to put one, we need to put one 4 foot. That way we can plow it.
Yeah, it's just a dangerous area because so many people walk that upper loop, south of Church and around by your house, Ashline.
We've also had requests for the upper part of Prospect Street too, going to the cemetery, but I don't know if there's enough width there to run a sidewalk up
Never
through there.
noticed that. Yeah. I mean, I do notice it on South, and I do notice a lot of kids walking to work out of our area down here. A lot of people walking on that, heading
Mhm.
out. So,
Well, it's
Yes.
something we need to just look at.
As we look at it,
I don't
talk to the
know, maybe
residents
there's just
and
not enough
see.
room, but it's dangerous. You should really have to be on the street.
If we had to, if they agree, and if that's the way you want to do it, the ditches that were there, I guess we could put culvert in. There's not that many ditches there. Actually, some of the culvert that's there is going to be changed. It's pitched the wrong way.
That and it clogs up the laser.
That's a thought.
after we repair the others, I think we definitely should take a look at that.
I can go along with that.
It's a need. It really is a need.
Well,
I
that
totally
one you're
concur.
describing, it sounds very unsafe.
Yeah.
It
It's
is.
just a
It's
bad
dropped.
accident.
They're big
waiting to happen.
pads, but still it's a V. And it's dropped, quite a bit in the middle.
Okay.
Well, we still have funding in the CHIPS funding. We did the paving. We took some out of the budget and some out of CHIPS, and we still have,
We used half of the CHIPS fund for this year.
so we can roll it over as well as next year's CHIPS funds and use that. I don't know that we have any more paving to do here in the village on a major. I mean, there may be some small spots that we need to do, but
Eventually, we're going to have to look at Buckhead Boulevard, because
yeah,
it's
but we can
bad shape.
put the emphasis with our CHIPS funds on the sidewalks. We can use it for that. So.
Great.
Thanks for all your work, Mike.
Clean it and this is sidewalk. No problem. It's all in the day's work.
No, thanks.
Any other questions for Mike? The correspondence, please.
Correspondence from Clinton County Legislature's Office regarding the tobacco settlement grant. Correspondence from Clinton County Clerk's Office regarding an increase in mortgage tax administration expenses. Email from Joanne Foresta, Chamber Energy Consultant regarding electricity rates. Correspondence from Stephen Dumino requesting reduction of his October 1st water sewer bill. Correspondence from David Marshall regarding Steve Meyer versus Champlain Zoning Board of Appeals.
Any questions on the correspondence? If I could just briefly here, the Tobacco Settlement Fund, the legislature gave us $10,532, and when I figured out the cost of the disc golf and the adult workout stations, which we will receive in the next week or so, I was looking at a 2012 catalog. The prices have changed in 2013. We came out with a net gain of $32 on this.
That's our cement.
So,
You can buy 2.5 frisbees for $32.
good.
They're expensive.
Anita, you mentioned something about 1 point something for the energy.
Yeah, on the new rate, it's 1.9 cents, 1.903 cents per kilowatt. That's the rate that she sent me today.
Okay, this is different from this one, from
Yes,
Joanne?
because because that said 1.8.
Yeah, 0.01876,
Yeah,
pricing for 12 months.
she gave me that a couple of days or 2 weeks ago. She needed to do it the day that we were having our board meeting because the rates changed.
Okay.
You also went up.
So instead of 1.8, it's 1.9.
Great.
So
Yes.
They
anyway,
called me today, I think they're going to be here tomorrow, that tractor trailer.
Go ahead.
so anyway, this is the rate that it was today. Is 1.9 cents per kilowatt.
Just so we can,
Which is cheaper than what we are paying now.
we can deal with that with, under the old business. Any other discussion on the correspondence?
Busy month.
Okay, full business. Local law number 1, 2013. We've had the public hearing. Received many comments on this. We tabled it I believe we tabled it last meeting. I think we need to look at this, address it. I guess I need a motion to either approve local law number 1.
So moved. I make a motion to approve local law number 1.
We need a second on this.
Second.
Okay, floor is open for discussion.
Where,
Well, I can start, I guess.
Please.
So after hearing everyone at the public hearing speaking in favor of having chickens, I decided to beat the pavement on my daily walks. And I would say that I've probably talked to at least 20 different people, different households, and they are all in favor of allowing chickens. And then I happened to be out in Boulder, Colorado, and I opened the paper, and those municipalities are all looking at backyard chickens. In fact, my daughter-in-law just today sent me an Erie Okay's backyard chickens. So, I will just say that it seems that the communities that do allow this have strict rules in terms of number of chickens, setbacks, have to be contained. Those are the base. Oh, and then there's also a concern about a slaughter rule. Are you going to allow them once they're old? Are you going to allow them to be killed on their property or not? I know that sounds gruesome, but those are the
Every 2 years,
but
they're done.
those are the issues that these other
Yeah.
places are having to discuss. So I guess all I'm saying is that from what I can judge from the community, they do not seem to have a problem with it. So I'm just going to speak as the voice of the residents, okay? That we at least need to consider what those people are saying. They are saying that we're a small village, that a lot of people want to raise their own food, and that with restrictions and strict guidelines, that many people are in favor of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to put that out there.
okay.
I too have had a couple feedbacks. It's kind of split. but, you know, what harm would it do? And then others saying that, well, once we open up this, the floodgates of Old McDonald's Farm's going to come into the village. I would prefer, in my opinion, and I don't offer it very often, but I'll offer it tonight. See if anyone's paying attention. Okay.
We're all laughing inside.
We all heard you.
That this go to a vote, not for us as a board, but I think this is something that we should put on our ballot as a discussion, you know, have more information out there and a discussion, a real discussion with, you know, what would the guidelines be and where are we going to go, and let the villagers come and vote on it. Either that or do a survey that we mail out to each and every resident as to what are your pros and cons of thinking of opening up the backyards to chickens.
With restrictions, though.
Oh,
Right,
yes,
right.
yes. Number
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and setbacks
Mhm.
are essential, and enclosed, and no roosters.
What do
I
you mean?
mean-
What do you mean by setbacks?
Well, you can't put it on the property line. Like, you know,
That's what I thought you meant.
yeah, that's what most of
Go
these
for it.
places, what?
How far away?
Well, if it's an accessory structure, it can be 10 feet. Other than that, you can set it, you know, if it's gonna be a chicken house, you could, whatever you wanted it to be.
Would that not have to be an accessory?
It's an accessory use, but you could put conditions on it based on its use. I would guess, I would check with Mr. Marshall, but I don't
I
see why
think
you
that's what
couldn't.
he told me
Yeah.
in my discussions with him about
I would think 10 feet from a property line might be a little bit close in some circumstances.
Right, especially for those who don't, you know, their homes are closer. That is my concern, because you can't start making exceptions. Okay, those that have at least, you know, 1 acre are allowed to have the chickens on their property, but those of you whose house is, you know, it's going to become very, very complicated. So I think it's something that we would need to come up with guidelines as we propose this to the villagers, if it's something that they're interested in. But if we work out some of the details of what we're looking for to keep boundaries on this, to present it, you know, not just put it out there willy-nilly. Well, you want chickens or don't you?
Yeah, no, you have to have the
Right,
restrictions with
but
it.
you know, we could come up with that component there and present to people and see whether they want to by getting it out there. But I was surprised too. A lot of people that, you know, heard about it are saying, "So what's the big deal? 6 chickens? I wouldn't mind."
I was very surprised, and it was a wide range in ages of people, and they all were, yeah, a few chickens, I have no trouble
Yeah,
with that.
I had a few say no. As I said, Old McDonald's going to be in town,
Yeah,
and that's why we're in the village. We don't want that. But
I-
other than that,
I am not in favor of this at all, nor am I also in favor. I am not in favor of putting this out to the public. We as a governing body need to stand firm in the decisions that we make. If you start going out to the public to do a public referendum, if you will, for every single thing that comes up, because if you allow chickens, what is the next animal going to be? Well, you let them have chickens. How come I can't have a goat? How come I can't have this? And you're opening Pandora's box, and you're opening yourself up to, you let this animal in, you've let this person have this, you gave them a public hearing, I want the same option. I just feel that as the governing body of this village, that we need to make a decision and stand by it, and I am not in favor of chickens in the village or other barnyard animals in this village. And I'm sorry, chickens are barnyard animals, and they're not. I live in the village because I don't want to be in the country. I don't want to be next to farm animals. That's why we chose to live in the village. People might say, yeah, I don't have a problem with chickens, but they might have a problem if they move in next door. It's very easy to say what you don't have a problem with unless it's, you know, you're facing it every day
Or listening to it.
or listening to it.
Yeah, those are valid points. They are valid points.
I just, That's my opinion.
Did you just say, or listening to it?
Yeah,
If you had, say we allowed 3, I was raised in a city, okay, so I don't know anything about chickens. But
I know where he's going with this.
What, are they noisy?
They can be.
Like just hens?
Hmm.
Yeah, we have a neighbor at camp that has, I believe, about a half dozen, and yeah, I kind of get used to it. It doesn't. I'm not saying that it's irritable, but they are noisy. I mean,
They're like
the field and stuff, and it's
Oh no!
Oh.
more like squawk, squawk, squawk.
When they
Yeah,
get to fighting, they can be noisy.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, they can be
they get very,
noisy.
very riled up all of a sudden, and it is a racket.
You know, my concern too with it is bringing, other animals in to prey on the chickens.
Absolutely.
The fox is coming into the village, and it does open up a lot more. And just suggesting to open it up to other people. I understand the Pandora's box you're looking at, but part of our role is to listen to the villagers, and I would say that I'm hearing more positives than I am negatives. So that's why I was suggesting that. But I am very concerned with the village and opening this box, because it will change things, and it is happening all across the country right now with adding chickens, and everybody's doing it.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, cities. Like
Cities,
Seattle,
it's
they're allowed.
it's very. I mean, so times are changing. I get that. I don't know. Just
My concern is if we allow this, what is the next barnyard animal to come along that's
very true.
and we're going
That
to
is a possibility.
we're going to be facing the same
Mm-hmm.
the same situation. I'm. This is a village.
Mm-hmm.
It is not the country. It is not the barnyard.
Right. And I don't even think that we need to change the law if the courts have ruled on this issue, and it was we're all in
It upheld
line.
the zoning board of
They
the
upheld
zoning
their
board.
decision.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So is there really need to the expenditure of clarifying the law even more? Just a thought out there. I was thinking, is that even a necessity to go there?
Not if we're
Just a
not going
thought.
to allow them.
Right.
If we wanted to allow them with restrictions,
Oh, right,
we
we
would
have
have
to.
to say something. But
Right. But right now, I don't think that we need to change the local law with that added expense.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Now that that ruling came down, why put that expenditure on the taxpayers?
Yeah, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, if I can address this.
Right.
If we, and I guess we have said no, we have said no chickens here in the village.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
This law number 1 here allows for a variance use, but with that appeal negated, upholding the zoning board of appeals decision not to allow the chickens, not to allow the animals within the village, then we don't need this variance issue.
No, because under the current statute that you have, the definition, anyone would be allowed to apply for a use variance. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're going to get it, and based on how the court voted, with the zoning board voting the way they did, I would think it would be kind of foolish to apply for a use variance. But you're always allowed to apply for a variance in any circumstance.
Can I make the assumption, and this is probably, but can I make the assumption that if someone comes along and wants a different type of animal,
They could apply again, and depending on my decision as to how I view it as a domesticated animal under the current code, they could appeal my decision to the zoning board, and then the zoning board would render a decision. And that's the process. If they don't like the decision of the zoning board, then they can file an Article 78. But based on the precedent that's been set with the court decision, I would think that's about as good as you're going to get.
you want to adjust your motion?
Yeah, I'm not sure how to adjust it though.
Or we could just vote and
Or just vote, or
just
just,
Well,
vote.
what you're voting on is the adoption of this.
Mhm.
If you agree, and I think the discussion is, if you agree that the local law that we have on the books now, currently on the books now, is applicable, and it's going to be expensive, as you mentioned, with this local law filing, then your motion can be to uphold the law as it exists today, the village code as it exists today, which restricts the animals here in the village.
okay, then I change
If we
it.
vote the local law down, though, isn't it just done?
No,
Well, no, I don't think,
Then it
I want to
opens up.
vote it down.
it opens up everything. Then.
Oh,
You have to have the local law existing on the books as it is.
So basically, I think what you're recommending is voting down the revision to the
yeah,
local
that's what I'm
law.
saying. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
The number one, whatever the
Local
title
law
is,
number
local
one.
law number
Yeah.
one or whatever. If we voted that down,
Yes.
wouldn't we just be left with what we already have on the books?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, isn't that
that's what I'm saying, just put it to a vote instead of
right?
change
So
it.
he doesn't need to change his
It
motion.
was brought up so we could
Okay.
discuss it, now we
Right,
can
but he
vote.
would- doesn't
That's
need
why
to
I
change
brought
his
it to the
motion.
table, is to try to discuss
Well,
it.
I thought his motion was to approve local law number one.
It was.
It was,
It
but
was.
if we vote it down,
All right, I just needed some clarification there. Thank you.
It was, so as part of the discussion, though, when we vote on this, the law that is currently on the books will still stand, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
as it exists today.
right. So the motion that was made was to
Approve the change.
approve the changes,
Local law number one.
local law and law revisions.
Okay,
And then you had your discussion, now you're gonna have a vote.
and a no vote means that this is not going to be approved,
That's correct.
and we'll go with what's on the books today.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Now it's clear in my
I'm
mind.
fine with that, yes, clear mine too.
Okay. Trustee Trombley.
Nay.
Trustee McFetrich.
nay.
Trustee Trombley.
Nay.
Trustee Garrett.
Nay.
Mayor Martin.
Nay. Resolution passes, we go with what we have.
You have to shut it down, but
But see, I understand we're back to what we had. Which
Yeah.
I don't really like that either, but I just want to make a statement that for all those people that told me they really wanted chickens, I mean, at least the issue's
Come-
still out there.
talk
Come and
to us.
talk to us or
Right.
something. I really understand your points, and I really do respect them, and they have a lot of validity. But I'm just not sure if really tight restrictions in a little village like this are always the way to go. So I'm just going to put that out there.
So noted.
Thank you.
Electrical charges from direct energy. You've heard Juanita's presentation. This will be for I would like to see it as a 12-month agreement with the Chamber of Commerce, direct energy, to continue to purchase our electricity from them now that we have the rate straightened out and we know what we're going to be paying here as a variable rate. Need a motion to approve this.
so moved.
Have a second
Second.
discussion?
Yeah, I'm looking at this here. Does this column say, I don't know if the whole word fixed adder? What is that?
That's what it is, that's gonna be our rate.
So it is a fixed rate now.
It's a variable rate, but it's fixed rate. For
Is it
12
fixed for a
months.
year?
It's fixed for a
So
year.
it is fixed for a year then.
That's what the variable rate is.
You see this,
I'm just not sure I agree with that then.
And then after 12 months, you go to a different variable rate and then it's fixed again? Is that how
Yeah.
it works?
Yep, they'll tell us what the rates are at that point.
Right.
on this page dated October 17th, Thursday, from Joanne to Juanita. Also available is variable pricing, which would run close to NYSEG. You could save the merchant function charge and sales tax on delivery. We express the price to get increasing better and edge over NYSEG in a 12-month plan. NYSEG does not do fixed pricing. variable pricing, fixed adder, prices inclusive in all components for supply, energy capacity fees, losses, etc. Variable pricing for the following terms, and then these have adjusted since then, pricing for 12 months. And that was my question, because this one says 0 or 0.01876 for 12 months.
So this is the same thing if you put it the other way.
You just move your decimal point 2 places, so it's 1.9 is what it is today. Okay, just so everybody understands. And it's still a variable rate.
No, it's a fixed rate, that's why I've got an issue with it, according to this.
If it's a fixed rate through direct energy, because it goes from the chamber.
Yeah.
So how does that rate compare to the market is what I'm worried about. Because typically with the...
Well, before we got our credits, direct energy was charging us 12 cents a kilowatt. Then when they gave us our credits, they brought it back down to our variable rate, which was 0.068 cents.
Okay.
And if you go through the chamber with direct energy, because the chamber has this program that has all these people into it, our rate would be 1.9 cents per
It drops
kilowatt.
even 5 cents more than what the variable rate with NYSEG. Correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You have trouble with it being called variable when in fact
But
it's fixed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an issue with that because
Well, it's misleading.
It
Yeah.
is very.
I mean, I understand it's much better, but it sounds fixed for 12 months.
A fixed rate for 12 months,
It's
right?
a fixed rate
it's
for 12
exactly-
months.
We're calling it
We're
But
paying
it's
a
the
fixed
variable
rate
rate.
at a variable.
Yes, yeah.
We're paying a fixed rate over the 12 months at a variable rate for NYSEG or direct energy.
Call me
So
sick,
whether
I
it
don't
goes-
get it.
Whether their rate goes up or goes down,
You're paying the same.
we're paying the
We're
same.
saying, yeah.
I know. So
You're paying a fixed rate in a variable market.
That's it.
That's a much better way to explain it.
that's a better way to explain it.
Yes.
We're fixed for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
You're locked into this rate for a
For a
year,
year,
so
right.
it is
It is fixed.
fixed.
So I guess
What do you think, Amy?
my question is then is it a good rate or not? Because typically a variable rate you get to take advantage of all the lows.
But-
You have some highs throughout the year, and if you don't have any major disasters, you don't have a lot of really highs. So that's why at the end of the year, usually a variable rate is a better way to go. And if we're going to agree to a fixed rate, is this a really good bargain? Is
Do you
the question.
think out of all the kilowatts that we use, paying 1 cent per kilowatt is going to be bad? I really don't think so. Not when we were charged 6 and 12 cents, 8 cents, 9 cents.
That was through direct energy.
Yeah.
We paid the 12 cents. Yeah.
1.9, it's not. I think history shows that we're still safe there.
Especially with the kilowatts that we use, especially at water, at the
Wastewater
River
plant.
Street. Yeah.
So I guess what I'll word the question then. Did we look at historically what the rates were with NYSEG, for example?
They
to
weren't
see how
this
it-
low.
To see how it compares. Okay, that's
I
what
don't think NYSEG has this
Uh-uh.
anymore, it's direct energy now.
Yeah, you have to
NYSEG has
supply.
sold out to direct energy for this portion of the bill.
Okay. Okay, I have a better understanding of it now, but that got me when I saw fixed.
Adder.
Yeah, fixed adder.
Do you have a motion?
We
We
do.
did,
Do you have a second?
Amy and Kim.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee McFetrich. Aye. Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Martin.
Aye. Need a motion to approve this notary public assignment.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I think it's great. Thank you for doing it.
You go tomorrow, take the test?
Yep.
All studied?
Just how do you-
I'm studying.
Mike, you want a quizzer?
Good luck.
If she
I
flunks,
had
she
to
pays
pass.
for it. Add that to the motion.
Okay. I mean, it's what, $15, I think is the cost.
That's right. She flunks, she pays for it.
Okay, deal.
Good luck tomorrow.
Yes, good luck.
Good luck, Mary.
And thank you for taking that on.
That's great.
Need a motion to approve the election document for the March elections.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Try to read it.
Okay. I'm going to find it and I'll read it.
It's right here.
Juanita, did you get an approval on that?
Do we what?
Did you get an approval on the notary? We did a motion, we did a second. Did you get a vote? I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
Yeah, Amy and Janet.
Yeah, but we didn't vote.
Did we get a vote? No.
Trust the notary.
Okay, sorry.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee McFetrich.
Aye.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Martin.
All right. Now I'll take a motion to approve the 2014 elections, Village of Champlain.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay. Whereas the next village election for officers of the Village of Champlain, New York will be held on March 18, 2014. Whereas the Board of Trustees of said village must designate by resolution and publish offices which are to be filled at such election and the terms thereof, then it be therefore resolved that the Board of Trustees of this village has determined the following offices to be filled and to be voted thereupon, with the terms of such offices respectfully noted as follows. Trustee, 2 years, 2 positions. Be it further resolved that as required by Section 15-104-3A of the Village Election Law, notice of said village election be given at least 4 months prior to said election date, and that the office to be voted upon at said election be likewise included in such notice, said notice. The resolution shall take effect immediately. The foregoing question was duly put to roll call vote, which resulted in the following. Do we have discussion on this? I have a, yes, yes. But first and a second here?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee McFetrich. Aye. Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Martin.
Aye. Last month we discussed the purchase of a sander for the 1-ton dump truck. Mike has come back with some information. You have been copied with it. He has a recommendation. Mike, the floor is yours.
I did a little more research, and I found out the electric sander that originally was leaning towards was only good for straight salt. They use it for sand salt mix. Sand salt mixes like, well, sand's about 3,300 pounds a cubic yard versus salt's like 2,200. And under that stress, sometimes they won't start. So the gas is the way to go. That came right from the factory. I called the factory that makes the sanders. Sand sander is basically our big truck has. I did get a few quotes. My suggestion is right from Longbury, right from the manufacturer that makes the sanders. That's where this one, the Tarkle Ohio order came from. We can get it with an 8-foot or a 9-foot. That truck we have will take a 9-foot sander, and you won't have the dead space in the front where sand gets between, in between the body. Yep. That sander also has it's got a Honda engine on it. Chain system's made in U.S. That sander installed is $5,581 for a 9-footer. Or it was $300 more. It was $52.81 for an 8-foot, $55.81 for a 9-foot. All the sanders I originally had priced were all 8-foot sanders, and I didn't realize that was an option, a 9-foot. But that's basically the same sander you see on the first one you have from grocers. They wanted $58.40. We're going a foot longer, and we can get it installed for $55.81. The other two quotes I have on there, there's one for $53.14 and there's one for $55.57, and neither of those are installed. So my suggestion is from Longberry, would be the second page of the primary years.
on the
Longberry
backside.
Manufacturing, they used to be Tarrant, it's the company Longberry bought them. This is, my recommendation is getting a 9-foot sander right from them installed, is $5,581.
Now, they're out of Saratoga Springs?
Yeah,
And where would they do the installation?
right there. Have to drive down probably in the morning, they put it in, wire it all, and then drive back.
And that's on the pickup truck.
On the 1 ton. And that has, when they wire that in, it has a disconnect in between the truck and the cab, so if we have to take it out, it's got a plug, you can unplug it, unhook the 4 ratchet ties, and take it out. That comes with the extended spinner, because that truck's high off the ground. It extends it down low so it's not throwing salt on vehicles or anything that's high. That has the grates for chunks of sand on top. Nothing can go through it. Ratchet kit, the ratchet tie-down kit comes with it. This one here too, which I was surprised the other companies didn't have it, but the other companies didn't even have a battery in them. And this one has a battery, it's ready to go basically when you get it. And the other plus is this one has a Honda engine versus a Briggs & Stratton engine, which Honda is a better, more reliable, quieter.
So how does that one compare to the Rochers?
The Rochers,
We're not looking at apples to apples, right?
well, you are in a way because it's the same sander. They get it from Longberry. It's an 8-foot stainless charcoal Highlander Junior. It's the same sander. The Rochers have Briggs & Stratton engine, and they want 5840 installed.
That's an 8-foot box.
That's an 8-foot. Longberry, with the Honda engine, for an 8-footer, they want 5281 installed. So $600, almost $600 cheaper getting it from the Saratoga Springs, right from the factory, versus having the Rochers put it in. And that's with a Honda engine versus a Briggs engine.
So you're saying, Mike, that DeRochers actually gets it?
Yep, they
From
buy
this-
them from Longberry. This is where they make them, right at the factory. That's where they get them from, and then they mark them up and put them in here in Plattsburgh.
I just have a suggestion, but if you could get them to do the same thing as what this one's doing and get them to match the price
I can try
for
that.
this, we keep the business local and
Save the
save the whole day of
Save the drive.
someone
drive
being
Down there
and
on.
the expense of the drive. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to figure out.
It's just a thought that, you know what, it's
I
not
will-
that much.
I will try tomorrow. I'll call him tomorrow, but just
But
to see
it's
what they
the
say.
Briggs motor, and he's recommending
You're
the
saying
Honda
save the
motor.
No.
Honda.
No,
Yeah.
if you can get them to do the exact same thing as you're
I'll
getting,
call him tomorrow. I'll get a quote for a 9-foot with a Honda engine installed to see how much difference.
and say, look, it's a lot cheaper for us to go to, but if you can match it and do it apples
take
for
it.
apples.
Right.
You know, in between you and I.
What's the worst they
if
can
we
say
get-
is no.
Get it down to a couple $100 difference.
Right. You wouldn't have the
Save that
gas
travel.
and a travel.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth a try. What's the worst they can say is no. Then
What
you've
is
at least
the-
given the option.
Actually, I should probably ask you, how much difference, if you say yes, we can improve it to this amount, how much difference, what is it worth for us? I mean, we're not taking a day to drive down there plus gas to get down there. How much difference? I just hate to wait another month for another meeting because
No,
now we're in
no.
the snow season.
Right, because if you look at
So,
that,
Yeah, what are we, what,
What do you think it would cost you in
Saratoga,
gas to
4
go down?
hours, right, driving?
Uh,
At 2
gas
miles
is
per
gonna
gallon?
cost you, probably should-
Days.
How many miles per gallon on that thing?
No.
So what you're looking at is calling the Rocher, asking for a price on a 9-foot box, Honda engine,
Yep.
They can
using
do
the
that.
same criteria that you have with
Yep.
Lowberry manufacturing, and see if they will match that for a 9-foot box with the Honda engine and the rest of these qualifications. I mean, they must have it available. They buy it from these guys, so if the Rocher can,
That's where they get them from, yep.
the Rocher gets them from this company. So if they can match a 9-foot box, are we all agreed that a 9-foot box is preferable?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's $300 difference between
Okay.
8 foot and 9 foot.
9-foot box is preferable.
It's a
Mike
big difference in the.
is recommending the Honda over the Briggs & Stratton engine.
Forward, put more cylinders.
And this price that's on here now from DeRocher is $58.40 installed, so they're going to have to match that installation price as well
Yes.
Oh, right.
for a 9-foot box, and the motor that we're looking at, obviously they can get it from this company,
Yep.
so we're not, do we want to give Mike an amount here?
40, so it's $240 difference right now between the 9-inch of that Longberry, right?
Yep.
So
I guess the way we should do is how much.
Why don't we just give him the limit of what he's looking at here at Longberry? And he knows what that's gonna cost, and if DeRocher would come,
Well,
I mean,
but if
what I'm saying is, what is it worth?
$100 more,
you're better off
it's
staying
still better
local.
to stay with
Yes.
DeRocher.
What is
I
it worth
agree.
for me to drive down and
It's gotta be worth a couple
Gas.
$100.
That's what I'm
Right.
thinking.
Yeah.
So this is $55.81. So what is it? If it's $5,800
So
bucks or less
$5,800 or
at
less.
DeRocher's,
So,
get it local right here.
Yeah.
Let them put it
Yes.
in here. We'll have to spend a day to go down.
yeah.
Yes.
As long as you can
so you
get it.
approve up to,
Exactly.
5,800.
okay?
I mean, I know we all try to be very cognizant of keeping things local, and the worst they can say is no.
Right.
But at least we've made a good faith effort to try to give them the business.
Yeah, and it would,
I mean, if they're way over that, then
Yeah.
We've done business with them in the past.
yeah,
We had that Dodge pickup, we did a lot of business down there, so.
we've got plow parts. I don't know if that's where I think the other plow came from there.
yeah.
Feed plow.
Yeah.
So if they can get in the ballpark, then
Okay.
For what?
So we need a motion out there, right?
Yes.
So I make a motion to approve up to $5,800. Is that right? For the purchase of the standard.
With the same specs.
Yes.
With the
Yes.
specs.
Same specs.
I will second that.
Okay, you have a second, any more discussion?
Warranty on this at all?
1 year.
Doesn't
They
state
all-
it anywhere.
They all are. Actually, there's a page. Oh, maybe I didn't do one. I have one for. They're all 1 year, but I have a copy of the
That's fine.
warranty.
So just a question.
And actually, there's pictures back here of the weights and. Oh, yeah, it's right here, actually.
So I would just suggest, present it to them that, we have these specs at 5581, can you match it? Or, see what they say.
What's
Don't
the
even
best
say
you can
that,
do? Right.
Yeah.
just ask if you can match it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell them they want to buy there, can, but
I mean, the company in Saratoga has to be making a few dollars on this sale,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're gonna get, the Rochers is gonna get this piece of equipment from the same group. And
The only
I don't know
difference
how
they'll
much-
have is they'll have to haul it from there
They'll have to
here. Either we're gonna have to go
Yeah.
get it, or they're gonna have to haul. You know what I mean?
I think the Rocher can take the freight charges and deal with that.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, need a roll call, please.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee McFetrich.
Aye.
Trustee Trombley.
aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Martin.
Aye. We have a request from a resident on Prospect Street. You've been copied of. If you go back to the proposal for water service fee exclusion resolution that we had a few years ago, a couple of years ago, I guess now. This resolution would be in effect until this low pressure issue could be permanently corrected by the village. Summary of requirements: qualify for the service fee exclusion. The property must meet the following requirements: incoming village water pressure of less than 20 pounds per square inch. Have an installed booster water pump in operation. I guess what I feel about this is that the folks on Prospect Street have had to deal with these low water pressure issues for a long time. We're looking at a water project that will remedy this situation, but that at best might be a year. or so or longer away. It is, my thoughts on this is that we increase this, and we have approved this in one residence on Prospect Street. I'm not sure what the pressure was in that house. I don't think we ever had an accurate reading on his pressure.
No.
So what I feel we should do here to help out these folks is make this minimum less than 30 pounds per square inch. I know that in cases where the pressure is low, you stand under a shower at 30 pounds per square inch, and it's not all that forceful. It's a dribble, so to speak. To receive this water service fee exclusion.
30 pounds or less than 30 pounds?
Less than 30 pounds. 30 pounds or less.
30 pounds
Yes.
or less.
Well,
And they have to have a booster pump installed to get the exclusion. It's the same thing, we're just upping it.
I think we just changed the value to 30 PSI. It
Yes.
currently reads
Correct.
criteria to receive the exclusion is an incoming water pressure of less than 20. You just need to say 30. We'll leave the wording the same. It's the same thing. So I make a motion to revise our water service fee exclusion resolution to read water pressure of less than 30 PSI as part of the
Okay.
criteria.
Less than,
Right, so
Right,
if
that
they
was your
hit
question.
30,
That was
they
your
don't
question.
qualify.
right, less than 30.
Yep.
And an installed booster pump in operation.
Yes, that stays the same. I just want to
Okay.
revise it from 20 to 30.
Okay, so before we do that, can you give us the reads, Mike, on Prospect?
Well, there's going to be, instead of 5 residents, there's actually 7 with pressure under 20. And there's currently 5 that have booster pumps instead of 3.
Okay.
As far as if you're going to change, I don't know if you're going to change that or not, and if you want to change the date, you can.
Okay, what other folks, though, are close to this 30 mark, and how close are they?
Under 30, you've got you've got 13 that I know of, and 2 of them I'm not sure of. One of them's I'm supposed to get probably tomorrow if they call me back. I'm checking, and one of them the resident won't let me in to check it, but they already received credit.
Well, how are they getting credit if we don't have a read on it?
I was done
I don't
before
know.
I got here.
Yeah, we would have had a read at time.
There was never a sheet for it. I have no idea.
I think that was addressed at the same time that there was a sewer credit involved.
Okay. I don't know.
It's,
And at that time, I believe the pressure was low.
Are we looking at other residents that are very close to that mark?
One
Is
of them
my
approached me.
question.
One of them approached me and asked me that has a pump, and I have 2 or 3 others that are less than that, but they didn't ask me. They don't get a credit. And,
No, the option is to put the pump in.
I have pumps. I mean, there's some that I think opted not to take the.
Well, we would have to take the pressures again before it was.
But I do have I have one that approached me that does have a pump. That's what generated this, and I have 3 others that have pumps in that don't get the credit, but they do have pumps. 24 pounds, 27 pounds, and 18 pounds
Well, those are the folks that this would apply to.
that I know of. And there's 2 more one more that I have to get the pressure of.
Well, my question is maybe not understanding it. Is there anyone that's at 31 pounds, 32 pounds, 34 pounds?
We've got one at 30, but they don't have a pump. And then after that, it jumps to 33, the next house down.
so, in regards to Amy's question, then, from that point down the street, no more pumps?
No. It's all head pressure, so the lower you go.
Yeah, no, that's what
You're
I'm
over it.
thinking. I'm thinking this is like the end of it.
Well, that's my question is 30, I mean, should we do it at 35 or less so it encompasses in case that one at 34 decides again, we're trying to accommodate these folks that have lived with this nightmare for a long time,
Well, it's also
and we're looking at a short-term.
Nobody less
Fix
than
here,
30 that I know of
hopefully.
has booster pumps.
Okay.
right, and I don't think that anybody's gonna install a booster pump at this
I would
point.
think so, right.
Because
If they haven't by now.
Well,
Down the road, we're gonna have,
They're living with it.
yeah, they adjusted to it, and we're gonna be upgrading here.
that's what I mean.
So you're talking, a year, 2 years down the road, we'll be upgraded, and
Okay.
You can eliminate the less word, the word less here, and include those with 30 pounds.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
So moved.
Okay. Of 30 pounds or less, is that what?
Yeah.
All right, so you do, I'll amend the motion to revise the exclusion resolution to read, the criteria for water use to receive this exclusion are an incoming water pressure of 30 psi or less and an installed booster pump in operation. And that also has to be revised under the summary of requirements.
Second?
Yeah, I want to second it, right.
I second.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this? I just think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I do too.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee McFetrich. Aye. Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Martin.
Aye. We have another request from
So this down.
Stephen Dumino for a sewer credit. Mike, do you want to explain this one? Please.
I did talk to Steve. He had a high water bill the last 2 readings. The water was read back on June 14th for the previous reading, and back then Donna's noticed it was higher than usual. She had me reread it, and I reread it on June 27th, which is 13 days later. So we originally took the reading on the 14th, and that's when the billing was done. 13 days later, we rechecked it, and the reading was still high. I went into, we wanted to recheck it, I went back over, went into the basement. You could hear water running through the drain pipes, so I figured somebody was in the shower, went to the houses of the people that were home, and it was a toilet leaking. I said, "You let your landlord know?" No, they hadn't let him know at the time. So they did let him know, I don't know when, but 13 days had already gone by that the toilet was leaking. So that went on to the following bill, because it had been read on the 14th. The meters were read again on September 13th. The June reading was 62,000 gallons consumed. The September reading was 65,000 gallons consumed. My thing is, I don't know when the toilet was, he called me, he put the toilets in, he had them all checked, fixed. It already ran for 13 days, plus I don't know how many days before I got there to fix it, so I don't know how long that toilet leaked in between. So I don't know if that's where the difference came in. He called me saying it was high. And he thinks the water meter was bad. So we went on, we read it on 9/13. I went back on October 10th, which is 27 days later. I read the meter. They had used 10,500 gallons of water. We removed the meter. We put one of the new census meters in. That was on October 10th. We went back over on the 29th and reread it with the new meter to see. The 27 days with the old meter, he averaged about 388 gallons a day. With a new meter, he averaged about 352, 30 gallons. I mean, it could be. And I did explain to him that being a rental, a lot of times when people are not paying their water, they're not careful. I did ask him how many people live there, and there's 5 adults and 2 children in that apartments. You know, with the apartments that are there.
And there's 3.
There's 3 apartments. Yes.
Which building is that?
That's a brick building in Locust, just before by the milk plant. I think he sent a check for partial payment, and he wanted to know if he could have it reduced. But I don't, as far as the meter wasn't spinning when I went and put this one in. So whatever it was had been fixed, previously. But I know it was 13 days after we took our reading to Bill. So if it was a toilet that was running right through, there was 13 days there plus I told him however long you got there to fix it. So that could have been, his extra usage for this past reading. I really can't prove either way, but I know that amount of water he used went through that meter.
Right, and unfortunately, even if it was a leaky toilet, it went into our septic and we paid for it. It
Right.
doesn't meet the
Yes.
criteria for credit.
There was no breaks. There was no breaks that went to a sump pump that was pumped outside or anything of this nature. So this water did go through the meter, and I did pull the meter to check the meter to make sure it wasn't, something defective where the water was going through. And even with the new meter, it shows almost the same usage. So the water went through the meter.
Right.
There's no.
And there was no above ground leak. The leak
Right.
went through the wastewater
Wastewater.
system.
Yeah.
Okay. Need a motion to approve or disapprove this request?
I make a motion to disapprove it based that it doesn't meet the criteria of our policy.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any negative? Resolution passes. Okay, I mentioned this. You were also copied with, I believe we tabled this at the last meeting. Amy, you asked from EJ Prescott, you asked for some more information. Customers that are already in the program?
No, I asked for whether we are allowed to do this because if we purchase a certain value, we're supposed to get 3 quotes.
Yeah, and it's EJ Prescott talking to their representative agreed to that we could follow our purchasing policy, and they would be involved in, if we required the bids, they would be involved in the bidding process and would go from there with that. This also, this request for proposal is from another community that dealt with the same issue,
Right.
their
That's what I
purchasing
figured.
policy. And we could look at that. We could look at that and change the policy that EJ Prescott has or was presented to us in the last meeting. So I'd like to just kind of sit on this one for just a bit, and then come back next month with a new agreement.
Okay.
Prescott.
And we also need to look at, and I'll bring this back to you at the next meeting, we also need to look at a resolution approving, standardizing some of the purchases that we have in terms of this project with hydrants, water meters, and other things. I mean, we're going to look at a specific model. If other companies want to bid for this model, as well as EJ Prescott or other companies, fine, that's okay. But we want to stay standardizing with the town so that we both have the same equipment, and when we begin to use this, all we got to do is put the reader in the truck cab and just drive around the village, drive around the town, get all this read. And then the hydrants will allow us some standardization as well.
Instead of carrying 4 style parts, 1 style parts does all of them.
Yeah.
You know, and
Plus-
the one that's recommended is so much simpler.
Water is a lot easier to work on.
It's just so much simpler to use. The parts are less expensive, and the hydrant itself is much simpler than the others that are available. So I'll bring that back to you next month as well.
Okay.
And there's the procurement policy too. I don't know if I need to make copies, but you have that in your booklet anyway. Okay, any other business before the board?
Just a question on this that we got about the vote tomorrow for sewer debt exclusion on the November ballot. To bring to people's attention, they asked the statewide ballot on November 5th will include a proposition to extend for an additional 10 years the current provisions in the state constitution that allows local governments to exclude from their constitutional debt limit any indebtedness contracted from the construction of reconstruction of facilities for the conveyance, treatment, and disposal of sewage. Without approval of this constitutional amendment, municipalities would lose the ability to exclude sewer debt from their debt limit effective January 1st, 2014. The original reason for the sewer debt exclusion, to encourage municipalities to invest in necessary improvements to their sewer systems, remains valid today. NICOM encourages all local officials to ensure that their residents understand the importance of this initiative when they see it on the November ballot. So I know there are a ton of things on the ballot tomorrow.
6 or 7, isn't it, propositions?
And things are on the back of your ballots. Please look on the back of your ballots to see all of the propositions and things that are out there. So what I found important to this is the fact that, you know, they are trying to encourage us to continue to keep things up to date. And this is something we need to vote for and not let slide by.
Agreed.
So,
And it's going to be a case of a lot of voters aren't going to understand that.
they're not going to understand it, they're not going to see it, we're not going to know about it. But I did, this morning on NPR, they did have, if you go to their website, everything that's going to be on your ballot is listed with explanations so you can get a full understanding, because there are so many things with land swaps, 2 different land swaps going on, the casinos, this thing, and there's probably I don't even know. So really important that we can, you know, get more information before tomorrow.
I think the newspaper has held over the last 5 or 6 days to put 1 proposition in a day.
Right.
You know, and explain the whole thing.
But if you miss
But I
that,
agree,
then-
this is essential, you know, for the villages and towns who have wastewater plants to,
because the debt is huge on upgrades to wastewater, as we all know.
well, we owe 1 more payment and it's ours.
I know!
And we can start improving. If there's any more business, motion to approve? Or
I make a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn, second.
We'll approve that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We're in adjournment.